Over the last few weeks, I've been on a mission to crack the code of 9x39 SP6. Technically, this is an ammo that easily beats class 5 armor and is compatible with high fire rate weapons, shoots like an SMG on recoil, and is also somewhat available on the traders too. But I've personally never been that good with the guns, and that lack of experience has often gotten me killed. So I committed to buckling down and getting some real practice in, starting with Tarkov's best tool for cramming as much gameplay as possible into the shortest time available, Tarkov Arena. And it quickly became apparent just how good this caliber can be. In the base game, I have a 0.6 PMC to raid ratio, meaning that I kill on average 6 players for every 10 raids played. But deaths and near misses count for practice too, so this probably means that I have about one serious fight in every raid that I play. The average PMC raid is probably around 15 minutes looking back at my archive, considering deaths and factory in the mix as well, which results in very roughly 4 fights per hour of regular gameplay. Arena, on the other hand, especially if you play one of the respawn modes, is many multiples higher than this. 35 to 40 kills on the free-for-all deathmatch mode Last Hero is about average for me on Chop Shop, which is likely about 50 encounters, and given it only takes 10 minutes, ends up with 300 per hour. This approximation is about 75 times the rate of the normal game and equates to each match of Last Hero being worth 12 hours of regular Tarkov for gunplay practice. As I became more experienced with the 9x39 weapons, I began to feel the true power of SP6 for this kind of fight. Given its 48 penetration and 60 damage, it's a 3-shot kill to the thorax through a class 5 AACPC armoured rig, which is one of the best in the game. But unlike other cartridges with similar stats like 7.62 BP, the best guns in this caliber fire at 900 RPM. This allows you to keep the high headshot chance that comes with fast firing guns, while still making chest shots possible, unlike something like the P90 for example. If we look at a quick comparison showing the recoil on a very controllable gun like the MP7 compared to that of the SR3M and that versus the 7.62 MDR, which itself is a much slower fire rate, this shows that the SR3M is so much closer to the SMGs in this game than the assault rifles or above when it comes to recoil. Even versus a Meta M4, the SR3M beats it on overall spray pattern despite having a faster fire rate by 100 and requires nowhere near as much modding. Just before we continue, today's video is sponsored by Factor 75, providing you with delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Every fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. You can choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including some of the most popular such as Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veggie. Also, discover more than 60 add-ons every week, like breakfast, on-the-go lunch, snacks, and drinks to help cover all of your bases and feel good all day long about both what you're eating and your wallet. Everyone knows just how expensive takeout has become these days. Factor is cheaper and tastier, bringing you restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door. As they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, this means more time for doing the things that you love. And if you're anything like me, that is certainly not cooking. One of the best parts is that when things get hectic, Factor is flexible. Change your order up every week with plans from 4 to 18 meals per week, or pause and reschedule your deliveries anytime. As added peace of mind, with Factor you can be sure that you're making a sustainable choice too. Factor offsets 100% of delivery emissions and sources 100% renewable electricity for both their production sites and offices, so it's better for you and the planet. Get 50% off and free shipping on your first Factor box using my link. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone. It also helps to support the channel, so thanks to everyone who's signed up so far. So is this bullet and the guns that it goes into overpowered and broken? Well, it depends on your point of view. There are quite a few downsides to the best SP6 compatible weapons, starting with the obvious one, which is heat. The VSS and the VAL are always suppressed and have a fairly chunky heat factor added to their barrels. The SR3M can technically go without, and even with the suppressor is the best of the 3, but this doesn't fix it as the main issue is on SP6 itself, which has a massive heat factor all of its own. This makes all of these weapons jam very quickly when firing off full magazines. This is one of the reasons why Arena is so useful to try out this particular series of weapons if you're not used to them, as getting familiar with the heating and cooling cycle of the guns is a pretty important part of using them sensibly in combat, as it's rarely a factor on other weapons due to how these work. Secondly, we have magazine size. Most other top tier guns can have at least 40 rounders, with 60 being a popular choice for things like the M4, but the 9x39 slingers are stuck with 30 rounders at best, and these are very expensive. This is the third downside, which is the cost. While this doesn't really matter in the endgame, the base weapons have pretty punchy prices. The SR3M is at 148k from Prapor 4 after Perfect Mediator or a dog tag barter, the Val is 160k just on Prapor 4, and the VSS is only available for 20 GP coins or a barter that's around 120,000 rubles at the moment. Also interesting is that the Val is the only one of these three available on the flea market, as the other two are banned. Just as a point of reference, the other two 9x39 weapons, the 9A91 and the VSK, are not considered top guns because they have a slower rate of fire of 700 and they can only take 20 rounders, but this can be good if you're on a budget and come across some of the better ammo in raid on your travels. The fourth issue is bullet velocity. This is the reason that most players tend to use all of the 9x39 weapons like SMGs. Any further than this and the bullet drop and travel time starts to become somewhat problematic for hitting targets unless you're extremely skilled at making these slower rounds work. On the flip side, because of how Tarkov's pen and damage drop-off systems work, they keep their stats for much longer than regular supersonic ammo over distance, because the drop-off is related to the amount that the bullet slows down as it travels. As 9x39 is already slow to start with and also heavy, there's not much decrease in speed as it travels through the air, meaning that even at 100 meters you only lose about 1 damage and 1 pen when the round finally hits the target, which is kinda nuts. The last issue is also both good and bad, which is the accessibility of the ammunition. Initially, it's not possible to get SP6 outside of raid, but it can be unlocked both via Ref, the arena trader, and Prapor with in-game quests. Ref requires level 4, which does take some committed doing for the dailies and weeklies, as well as a scattering of the in-game tasks as well to make it a little easier, and provides you with 12 packs of 20 cartridges every reset. Each box only costs 4 GP coins, so 48 coins gets you 240 SP6. This is so cheap for one of the best bullets in the whole game. The alternative route through Prapor requires completing Capturing Outposts, which itself unlocks after Punisher Part 6. As a notoriously grindy quest, it has been improved somewhat since its initial introduction, as the 8 kills for each map are now Resort on Shoreline, Fortress on Customs, and Emacom Medical Base on Woods. Once finished, you can buy 72 a reset from Prapor for just over 1,000 rubles. Not that many, but well worth the price. Both of these routes require some grind, but once you have either of them complete, SP6 is then relatively usable after a couple of resets. With the ammo in hand, translating arena skills into the base game isn't much more difficult than playing as you would with a powerful SMG. I decided to lean fully into the short-ish ranged playstyle that most closely suited the practice, and one great side effect is that you're also very well equipped to take on bosses. Most SMGs struggle with advanced AI primarily because of their high HP pools, where even headshots don't kill from most weapons, but with the 9x39 guns, the 900 RPM provides extremely low TTK with the pen to defeat most bosses in a short spray. So we've shown how powerful SP6 is, but which guns should we be using? I've played with a combination of all of them, with the VSS on Marksman class in Arena, the Val on the Scout class, and the SR3M I've been buying in the base game. While all three are very similar, I found the VSS to be the least accurate during full auto fire versus the other two, with a harder to control spray pattern, although the ADS speed is about the same for all of them. Between the SR3M and the Val, well, these two are seriously close in performance, to the point at which I'd probably struggle to tell you the difference if I was shown them without knowing which was which. The good thing about this is that you can kind of practice any of them and pick up one of the others relatively easily. I personally like the SR3M because of how it sounds and looks, and it's new, but I think technically the Val is the lightest between the two, so it's probably fractionally superior. I'll quickly show you the best build for all three guns, starting with the SR3M. If you don't want to mod it too much, you can literally just add the suppressor. It only removes 5 ergo, and that's basically it. This is super close to the meta version, but if you do want to push it all the way just because, well, why the hell not, then this is what you need to do. There's a slightly upgraded handguard for the SR3M, which has this rail on the top, so the rail polymer version you can stick on, and that gives you 1 extra ergonomics. This allows you to then put something on the front if you want to, if you like tiny little sights. I know some people quite like having optics on the actual handguard. I don't really like this, so I avoid it. And this one also comes with a small rail over here, so if you want to add some kind of flashlight or laser, then you can put that over here. I usually put my tried and tested WMX 200 so I can get my point fire bonus without giving myself away. There is a ring mount over here, but you can't add a separate foregrip to the SR2M, you're just stuck with this basic one that it comes with. We also have the best magazine that we can, which is this 30 rounder. This one technically has half a better ergo, but it's not really worth doing because it's usually a lot more expensive. These things could just be bought directly from the trader, whereas these things are flea market only, and the price on the marketplace is just not really worth it. As you can see right now, there's basically none up there, and they're over 100k, so it really is just not worth worrying about. So we're just going to stick with these guys for now because you can buy those directly from the trader. The other thing that people do like to change out is the stock. Again, this isn't really worth it, but you can change over to the stock for the VSS. This is the one that you use in Gunsmith. Remember that you can get one of these for a packet of milk. You don't necessarily have to just use the price on the fleet, because these tend to be quite expensive because of Gunsmith barter. Just use this milk packet if you do want to do that. And then on the stock itself, you can really just pick anything. Even picking the highest ergo stock, which is the GL core, will give you slightly better recoil than the basic version and make the ergonomics slightly better as well. Usually I often either go for a Daniel's Defense type with the butt pad, and that gets you down to 47 vertical recoil, just remembering that with the PRS you can only get down to 44 anyway, so it doesn't really matter what you pick. Just pick whichever you think looks the nicest, to be honest, out of these meta combinations. The only other real choice you have here is about the sighting system, so it's a bit limited on these 9x39 types of guns. And you only have two options. As we said, you can mount something to the handguard if you want, but on the side there's a new mount here, which is this one, the SR3MP Dovetail. Now this is really nice. It does lose half an ergo point, unfortunately, but when you put this on, you can see how tight this is to the gun. So you have hardly any height over bore problems. This can be really, really nice. It's probably the best in terms of usability. The alternative for this, if you don't mind it being a little bit higher over the weapon, is you can grab yourself two ergonomics using this one, the AK303M. And this works on most Eastern weapons actually. And when you add this, you can see you get two ergonomics at the side. You need to add a second part on top, which is where the height over bore comes from. And then if you add something like the delta point, then as you can see, you've got this kind of 2-inch gap here, which is not really ideal, but you get 2.5 more ergo for doing this than using the SR3MP rail. I think I'd probably just go for the 3MP rail because 3 ergo is just not going to make any difference. And you can counteract that by adding on this, the knurled charging handle, to make the best build that you can. So this is the SR3M. It's pretty simple, pretty easy to mod, pretty cheap, not too bad. Next, we'll go and look at the Val. This is pretty much the same. Remove the front sight. You can put this one on, the 6P29M, which allows you to add the handguard onto the Val. And you can just put whatever you like on here. It doesn't really matter, RBG or something. I usually end up going with the SI Cobra just to max out the ergonomics because the recoil hardly makes a difference on these guns. This thing comes with a 20 rounder, so we'll swap it over to the 30. And again, we have exactly the same choice here with the R43 Val. We put the buffer tube on, and then we can add the Daniel's Defense or whatever your choice is. The rest of it is pretty much the same. This thing is also compatible with the SR3MP, so this is a really good option now. Or you can go for the AK303 again, because that's also compatible here if you want the extra ergonomics. One thing that I did forget to mention, you can put another tactical device on the side here. So if you wanted to add a laser or WMX or something, and then you wanted to add a 25mm ring mount for a really powerful flashlight, you can do that and put that on the other side. So this gives you some slightly different options, especially given that this particular mount doesn't allow you to add everything. So as you can see, you can't actually add the WMX on here. So if you are desperate to put the WMX on, like I usually do, then you can stick it onto this mount instead. So you don't need to put it down here on the handguard. Same as before, we can add on the knurled charging handle over here, and the rest of it is just up to you, little bits of customization, and you can add on whatever sight you want on this part. Notice that for this thing, you can't add anything bigger than something like a Valde. These assault scopes are the largest optics that you can put onto this particular mount. So if you are desperate to put on something larger than this, or one of the more meta versions, then there's a little trick that we learned from the old SKS, which is this, the QD Picatinny riser mount. Stick that on, and that allows you to add anything up to 34mm mounts. So you do get a bit of height over bore. This is somewhat offset by the fact that it's the low mount in the first place, but you could put a Nightfall scope on here, for example, and then use a Voodoo or a Razor or whatever if you are a masochist and you're trying to get shots over long range with some of these guns. But with 239 meters per second, I wouldn't advise it, but the option is there just in case you need to. Final one is the VSS. This mod's almost identically to the AS Val, so it's very, very similar. You can't do anything with the stock on this gun, so there's nothing you can do there. You can still add the SR3MP, so again, this is probably one of the better options across these three guns now because of the low height over bore, which is super nice. You can apply the exact same foregrip here using the mounting rail system on this. And then everything else is pretty much the same with this gun. The same trick works with the optic if you want to, and you can add the knurled charging handle here. Tactical devices and lasers are all the same. The only difference really about the VSS is you can't change these stock. This is the only thing you can do with it. You've got to keep the VSS wood, but otherwise it's pretty much the same as the Val, so nice and easy. As you can probably imagine, all of these guns absolutely rip in raid once you get used to them, especially with Class 6 armor back to being fairly scarce, which means that they work really well in both Tarkov Arena and in the base game, because Class 6 is very expensive either in time or in terms of MP points in Arena in both games. So next up, we'll be checking out a few clips in raid of SP6 in action just to show you how powerful it can be. Well, that was certainly something. Sure sounds like him. Oh yeah, get this on first. Okay, someone's fighting out of spawn. Okay, and we'll just drink this now. Get our metabolism up. Moonshine bar for the case, worth it considering 50 moonshines, 50. Yeah, it's like 50 moonshines, 50 vodkas, and then 20 whiskeys or something. I don't remember the exact one, but like it's. Okay. Oh, absolutely slain. Right, we need to. I need this gun to cool down. This gun needs to cool down. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. How do you not die? Oh, I killed the guy up in the top. Oh, nice. Maybe they were a trio or something. And then this obviously doesn't help the situation. Because this is like the most annoying thing that happens when you transit. It really is suck. We're going to hide this man's stuff. A bit like here or something. I can hear nades going off, but it sounds like either underground or... Was that someone, or am I just tripping? Charging around reserve. There are sometimes things in the gym. Oh, great. Where are all those shuffly sounds coming from? There was somebody over here queuing away. That made me freak out. What the hell is that? So wearing a goon rig, we have to kill 5 bosses. It could be any boss. You can choose the boss. But I actually quite like it. It's quite a nice little quest because you can pick where you want to go. You can pick which boss you want to farm. I kind of don't mind it, you know. But I have to avoid Death Alley and like get down to MVD somehow. Is the issue. Someone's in finance. I don't know if they can hear me from here. Kind of third-partying a potential fight, maybe? Maybe. I'm trying to kill bosses though, so I don't really want to get involved in this fight particularly. I wonder if I could just avoid it altogether and go and farm the peeps. I'd rather be called that than Linus Tech Tips, so, you know. There's definitely an improvement. I haven't had that so much recently. I kind of go through waves of it. You know, the Linus. It comes and goes. It comes and goes. Oh, it's so foggy inside. That's crazy. I wonder where these people went. They're probably still camping that finance building, aren't they? Anything in there? Maybe we don't even bother with Klimov. Maybe we just transit back and forth. When we start running out of ammo and stuff, then I guess we'll have to leave. But whatevs. Oh. There they are. Well, what the hell is this? What has happened to that SR? Oh my god. Let's see. Maybe we'll just be really obvious here, but surely the dude's over here or something, right? Didn't want to get caught out. Yeah, definitely the Ground Zero transit. That was the plan. Okay. Any more? Okay, no. Depends, of course, on what's happening. And the actual, like, player fights are insane on PvP, but like, just general... Oh. Do not take my Rashala kills. Mr. No Luck. I'll come back for you in a minute. And before Resh is already dead? I hope not.
Ёбнули нашего! Буду бить аккуратно, но сильно.
Come on, Resh, where are you? Is he already dead? So, like, once you know the map well enough... Oh, God, he did kill him. No! God damn it. Well, at least he's got his TT, but... Vishana never is the one at the front. That sucks, dude. Not surprised. Oof. Oh, there's a guy. Can't hear anything. Someone over there? Sounds like it. Oh no. Oh, that's bad times. Super bad times. I can only fire like one bullet at a time. Ah! I'm so close to a jam. No! Oh, someone just needs to kill me. Could someone just kill me, please? So as usual, a big shout out to all my patrons, and as always, have fun in your raids.